So hi, welcome everybody. This is the next episode of A Bit of Chiptune. I'm here with President Hoodie and Edge. This is the first episode of Season 2. Hooray! And we're all sitting around here to talk about Chiptune and, just like having a nice interview. So if you two could introduce yourselves, that would be great. Can we start with Edge?
Okay, so I'm Hedge, that writes 3D63. I'm a French chip musician, member of and founder of the Chip Bangers collective. And I'm happy to be here today to speak about chiptune, because chiptune is always a good topic to discuss on.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's actually really nice because A Bit of Chiptune is like really based in America right now, and I really love that we're like reaching out to other countries. What about you, Hoodie?
Okay. Come on, gremlins in the machine. Be our friends. My name is Brandon Hood, a.k.a. President Hoodie. I'm the founder and project manager of a project called Chiptune's Win, a.k.a. Chipwin for short. And I'm really excited to be here and probably talk your ears off.
If you could describe what Chipwin is to anyone who might not know, that would be awesome.
Oh man, that's a loaded question that I can talk about for hours, but I will do my best to give the Reader's Digest version. Essentially, what it has become is an international community of chip music fans and artists and enthusiasts in general. We also have a blog and a net label that produces annual compilations, as well as some smaller releases in between the large volumes. So we do a lot of stuff in and around, both community-wise and all sorts of other things.
So I saw that you release albums yearly, and you narrow it down a lot. And I think we're going to be talking about that after a break or later on. But in the meantime, I did see this thing where people are like writing about chiptune, like you have a whole chiptune magazine, and I was really curious about that.
Yeah, we do. We have a blog, a weekly blog. It's funny, like when the I think it was around the time of the first volume, which was in 2012. There were some other friends doing some really cool stuff, and they saw what we were doing, and were like, "Hey, you want like website space to do a blog or something?" And at the time, I was like, "Yeah, sure, that sounds fun." Didn't use it for a while. Tried to use it for a bit, and was like, "Okay, this is a lot harder than I thought it would be." But in time, it just we just found other people that like to write and were good at it, editors, web devs, just to kind of make it into a thing. And at this point, we put out a couple articles twice a week now, which is wild. No, I can very much ramble about that. But yeah, it's just basically a chiptune and a blog about, we do reviews, interviews, event reviews, special interest articles, some theory stuff, some tutorials, whatever basically. And always looking for more people to write with us.
That's super impressive. Like I try and do something with A Bit of Chiptune every like week, an episode or a song or just like a new event, but like if you can do this like a blog post in addition to a ton of other things like twice a week, that's super impressive. That's pretty big, isn't it?
I'm crazy is what it comes down to, I think. Just very, very crazy. And a lot of crazy friends. This will probably come up a lot, but I found this within Chiptune. I found it within Magfest, with a lot of the musical communities and events. It's just like this endless cycle of kindred spirits, just continually inspiring folk. And it's pretty great.
So I guess maybe we should talk about Volume 7, but also just like if I only know about Volume 7 and like that writing group, is there other stuff that I don't know about that like you'd like to introduce?
Let's see. Mostly we have what started it was the Facebook group that is now the big old Facebook group. I made that several years ago. Basically, oh Lord, here comes the rambling.
Yeah, you can totally ramble.
Yes.
Thank you.
Here we go. I have been a chip music fan for pretty much all my life. Started just being a little kid, playing Nintendo games, Game Boy, games. Metroid's still my favorite game, and OST, period. I'll try not to go down that rabbit hole. But I would record like the soundtracks onto like old tape decks and stuff like that. And that's what I'd put in my Walkman. Fast forward a bunch of years, I discovered bands covering old video game soundtracks. I'm like, that's really cool. Found a sort of a proto-chip music community in the late 90s. I don't even know if it was calling itself then, but there was a bunch of music around it. It was SS Tracks. It was a forum and IRC chat. Fast forward to going to my first Magfest in 2011, where I encountered people playing chiptune live and making new music on those old gaming systems and stuff. And it just kind of blew my mind. I started going to all the events that I could that year, and I think it was March of 2011 that I made the Facebook group. I was like, hey, I just made this little group as a place to share music and chat about this with the few friends that I had met at events. One thing led to another, and here we are, I guess. That cuts out a lot of the middle. But it started kind of just me getting excited about all of this different music and this music collectives and nerdiness, and went from there.
That's kind of crazy.
I got excited. And
I really wish I knew more
Yes.
about the like chiptune scene before now, basically, because I really just started getting involved, as you can probably see. And
right.
yeah, like I know that like
It's-
trackers are going on. I don't know how LSDJ has like existed. Is that like what you saw live or do you even know?
Most of what I saw live was LSDJ. I think there were a couple of people using PCs to play stuff on Tracker, and then the instruments and stuff over that. But yeah, like one of the first people I saw, it was Danimal Cannon, and it turned out to be his very first chiptune live performance. He had been playing in VGM bands, Arm Cannon and Metroid Metal for a while, but I'm pretty sure that was his first concert. And I was like, looking at the Game Boy, and he was playing guitar all over it, and I was like, what in the crap is going on here? And there were visuals in the background, and the visuals were kind of like mashed up with like a video game. And so I was like hanging out in the room party that night with Metroid Metal, and I was like, hey, so what was that one track from a video game? I was like, what was going on? He was very I was about to say very patiently explained, but he excited to explain. He's like, no, this is actually the chiptune. This is what's going on here. And I was just like, what the and just kind of went from there, just more and more and more. But yeah, that was my live explosion or exposure to it. And I went to like PAX East, Magfest was putting on a jam space, and some local chip shows were there. Like saw Disaster Piece and Bright Primate and Glow Mag and all sorts of other folk for the first time, Animal Style. And then I learned about Blipfest and went straight to that in, I think, April? Yeah, 2011, Blipfest 2011. It's the only one I made it to, but that just pretty much cemented. I was like, okay, yeah, this is cool, gonna keep doing cool stuff with this and seeking out experiences and just, rock and roll, and we'll see what happens. It was just me excited about finding basically an evolution of this childhood interest and finding huge communities, both online but also in real life. Like the Magfest thing was wacky there, because I had found online communities that I jabbed with before, but then to have it come together in real life and to see people doing events and stuff was like, yeah, okay, I know these people exist, but they come together and they do this stuff. So you couldn't help it. Like, I don't remember if I was talking about this one earlier or not, but the endless kindred spirit loop thing, kindred spirit inspiration loop. It's like, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Wow. I don't even think I've actually seen a live chiptune performance. Like, I really wanted to see the.
Oh baby.
There was
wait.
yeah. I'll definitely see it sometime soon. But I miss like the Anamanaguchi thing that went on in my New York City. I'm sure it's like available, but it's really hard to find. Like, it's really easy to find almost any genre of music, but like. Well, no, I feel like chiptune is like one of those genres that just people don't really know about. I think, have you had to explain chiptune like to a lot of people? Because even yesterday, like
Of
I asked
course.
someone, they like asked me what I was doing this summer, and like I was like, "Do you know what chiptune is?" And they didn't. And obviously, it's pretty much something that happens
No.
on the daily if I'm like in real life with
Yep.
somebody.
No, they generally most folk don't, or if they're semi familiar with it, they've heard 8-bit, or they might. Most people, especially with video game culture, shoot it started 20, 30 years ago now. Are familiar with some of the soundtrack stuff, whether they were gamers or not. So the bleep bloops, it's like, so maybe you can. They're kind of familiar, but chiptune itself, people making new music on this, pretty much anytime we tell people that, they're kind of like either okay, it's like these guys are huge nerds, or they're just like what?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the two basic reactions, and the okay is definitely the more dominant one. But when you find someone that's just like, wait, what? Huh? Then you have a good conversation there.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's, I guess, quality over quantity of excitement or investment. I don't know.
Right. Recently,
But you do hear it sneaking
before summer
out.
started, I was in
sorry.
school and I brought my PC over, and let's see, the reaction that everybody, I don't know, there was like one kid who was like, "Whoa, I want to learn all about this. What is Family
Yep.
Tracker? What is this genre? I've never heard of it. It's so cool." But also, just like every other person who walked in the room was like, "Oh, this is so sad. What nerds."
Yes. Yep.
There was literally
that's kind of how that
um,
breakdown.
a girl that I know who walked in and like saw us huddled around a computer like doing like blips and stuff, and she was like, "This is so sad," like yelled it across the room and laughed.
I believe it. It's like you just don't know. You just don't know.
I think it depends also on the artist and music style of chiptune you listen, because sometimes there are some genre of chiptune that are more accessible than others, and some scenes that are more common to people. Like if you blast some Anamaguchi to people, they're just like, "Oh, I like this kind of music." And when you say it's chiptune, "Oh, I like chiptune then." And but if you throw dark techno nano loop thing in their unprepared ears, they're gonna say, "Oh, it's a little bit boring," and such. And if this is chiptune, I'm not into it.
That's a great point. I've had that happen in a couple of ways. Like somebody be like, "Oh no, I don't like chiptune. I don't give a care about dance music." I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute. Let me show you some CJF or Anamanaguchi or Danimal Cannon or something that is a different genre. That's metal or rock or jazz or fusion." They're like, "Whoa, well, this is chiptune too?" It's like, yes. Chiptune is more how it's created and the sound of it, the sonic aesthetic. But a lot of people assume it's just dance music, and there's a lot of it, and some of it's really good. But no, it goes wherever you want to take it, more or less.
Well, I was going to say there's definitely like a misconception among some people who are like first starting to understand what chiptune is, that chiptune is like one genre and there's like one kind of chiptune, whereas chiptune is almost more of an instrument that like can project different genres if you wanted it to at times. And that's not to say that it isn't a genre, but there's not just like one kind.
Yeah, I think we evolved pretty good on this because even myself, when I tell people I'm doing music, I'm not saying I'm doing chiptune. I say I make music with Game Boy, and that I'm doing electro and techno songs, but not that I'm doing chiptune as a genre of music. I'm doing electro, but I'm using Game Boy. So people are like, oh, I'm not into electro, or I'm not into techno. They're more. It's more clear in their mind that just making bleep bloop on old video game console.
Now I'm starting to get curious because I'm not actually as well versed in like electronic music in general. I'm starting to get curious about what kind of like subgenres of electronic music exists other than like EDM.
Chiptune did that to me too. I have a lot greater just knowledge of electronic music in general, thanks to Chiptune. So, down the rabbit holes you go.
It's fun because EDM actually is the same as chiptune, is just a branding for a whole aspect of a musical scene, but not a true genre of music. So I have been categorized as EDM music producer in the past, but I was not making EDM. I was making electro. I was making drum step. It's a broad thing, and not. So I guess it's the same for chiptune.
I guess it is kind of just a tendency for, at least when you're distributing large groups of music, to like group them into very broad roles so that people can like find what they're looking for without having to know a ton about music, because like most of the people who listen to music aren't, producers or composers.
They're just casual fans, or just casual fans. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but there's less care to understand the nuances unless something, of course, hooks them, and then they start diving deeper. But like Ed was saying, even with just language, making it accessible, making it interesting, not just being like, I'll just do chiptune, and people that have no idea are like, what? But, well, I make this kind of music on Game Boys. Check it out. And then if they're interested, you can start talking about chiptune, or you can start talking about things. Like, again, I think I've seen Danimal play shows. It's like, hey, my name's Danimal Cannon. I make music with guitar and Game Boys. Let's have fun. And people will come up that really dug it afterward and be like, so what in the world is going on here? And everyone else that doesn't care might have just had fun at the show. It's just people. It comes down to people being different and having different interests and figuring out how to do your thing, both to please you and to engage other folk, which has definitely been a fun learning experience for Chip 1 and both for Magfest. But more tangents upon tangents here.
I don't know if I asked this in this recording, but I might as well. What are your like plans for Magfest? Because I know that you were doing a ton of stuff for it.
Oh boy. Well, I can't tell much at the moment because it's not quite announcement time, so all of that news is private. But we do basically have everyone booked, and I think announcements will start in September. And what I can say is there will be a really, really, really good lineup, not only for Chiptune, but oh my God, for Chiptune. Both the Rotation X and the Chip Rave this year are going to be just crazy. But the other composers and bands, nerdcore, all kind of stuff. It's a really good lineup. We're pretty proud as a team this year. One thing I should talk about Magfest is Chip Space, but I'll come back to that later, because that's a place that we helped, or a side stage that we helped create purely to give people a place to just hang out and enjoy chiptune, and to open mic for the entire fest. Some people just go to hang at that now. But yeah, so that's like the briefest version I can share without giving away any details that I can't yet. It's going to be a good fest. super.magfest.org, that's the link to that event. And Basically, everything Chiptunes Win you can find at chiptuneswin.com. That basically is a hub page that links to the Discord, the community, the Bandcamp, all that kind of stuff. That's the only link I'll throw out for that right now. As we circle back, I'll try to remember the specific ones. But those are the two main things to go to, and just go down the rabbit holes.
Well, with that said, those of you listening, please absolutely check out Chipwin Magfest when you get the chance, and we're going to take a short break, and when we start up again, we'll probably have another guest added to the ranks. So, see everyone.